Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to the Friday night edition of Spaced Out Radio Tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we always appreciate you hanging on in and tuning us on in for a lot of fun and so much more. Why? Because it's R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection tonight. Yes, get your tinfoil on, get your woo train ready. Boarding passes have been collected. Take your seats because we're about to launch this sucker. All right. Best part about tonight is we always have each and every one of you, and we love it around here. We really, really do. Like Tim Mothman and his goatee in the gold medal position, Race Fan taking home the silver, and Christine Lynn with a nice bronze medal tonight. Karen in the Woo Train, Dino Bravo, Michael Morris, Kitty Catty Whack, how y'all doing? Thank you for joining us. Hi, Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you. Good to have you here. And who else is here? Lee the Bee, Eternity Eternal. And M. Lovett, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing, man? Melvin from Mars, Chris. Teen, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Laura Lobbs and Corey, what's happening? Good morning, Skip to Malou. Shadow Seekers is here. Shadow Seekers will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. PK Turtle Dove, how you doing? Marty Burback, hi on A. Hi on A. Hi on A. Paramarv and Deanna Ann, what's happening? How you doing? Mr. Cowley is here. Mr. Cowley will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Maureen Green, good to have you back. Hello, lovely and talented Kira. Purple-haired Pixie Lar and Human Carl. How y'all doing? Human Carl's a great veteran of the United States Air Force. We love you, my friend. Thank you for your service. Sweet Donna C., W. David Page, good to have you both here. Hi, Richard Elmore. Applesauce, how are you? Phineas over on X, what's happening? Mama Catherine, mwah! I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful night, and I hope you have a great weekend. I really do. Oh, I love Mama Catherine. She just warms my heart, that Mama Catherine. She really does. Pam Harris, Swamp Gas Jenkins, and J Truth Seeker, how y'all doing? Richard Elmore, Rock and Rory. Rain, how y'all doing? Warden Dragon, Edgar Hike, welcome to SOR Chat. And Kathy Evans. Lulu Bell, both of you. Good to see you here. So we continue on with our roll call. Magneticus and Derek Cook. How you guys doing? Thank you for coming on in. Hi, Awesome Ann B. Shelly, how you doing there, gorgeous? What's happening? JSCO and Sim Life. Welcome to SOR Chat. Continuing on with our roll call, we have Simon the Likeable. We have next, let's see here. We have Hi, Ane. Hi, Ane. All right, continuing on. Oh, the ferret, what's happening? Robert Lamoth, good to see you. Slow motion. All right, let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, And R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection is the show tonight. Keith is going 3 hours long with us. 3 hours. We're going to need lots of questions. Lots and lots of questions from our audience. But it's always fun with Keith here. Tracy Benna, how are you? Nice to see you. And Slow Motion's in Ireland. We love you, man. Area 51, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. And who's next on our list here? Well, it looks like we're caught up. Don't forget, the Super Chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And you can always shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Count on it. Vanessa, how are you? Yennefer with a soft J. What's happening? We're going to have a good show tonight. R Keith Andrews is here. You are here. I'm ready. Hope you are. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, and every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power-packed show for you tonight. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Yes, it's that time of the month where we all hop on the Woo train, take our seats, get our tickets punched, and get ready for some alien chatter for the next 3 hours long. Yeah, Keith is going to go the distance with us tonight. Why? Well, because I just had so much fun with Keith when he's on the air. I decided, you know what? I want Keith for 3 hours. You know, his sideburns are looking pork choppable, so let's get them on there. We need him on the air. All right, let's bring him on. R. Keith Andrews is literally one of the most popular guests we have each and every month here on Spaced Out Radio. Why? Well, because he's not a researcher. He's not somebody who follows the news. He's not somebody who is into what's going on politically with UFOs or ET contact. No. He's plain out an experiencer. He's been an experiencer his entire life. And because of that, he now helps counsel people who have had their own experiences, trying to figure out what is going on with them. Yeah. And this is why we bring him to this show. It's entertaining. You don't have to believe him, but this is his story. And we're going to get it going right now. R. Keith Andrews, always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
Not bad. It's been an interesting week, but definitely been enlightening.
What's been happening this week?
Well, the weirdest part of it all is about, and it really isn't UFO, I don't think, related, but about 7 years ago, I lost a crystal that I've been using as a balance point for healing. Used to carry a moldavite in one pocket and a quartz crystal in the other. Used to keep my whole system stabilized. About 7 years ago, the quartz went missing. 6 months after that, I had my stroke. Okay. Now, a week ago, the crystal showed up again. The quartz crystal showed up again. And just like that, the shake in my hand quit.
Oh, nice. Very nice. That's exciting. Where was it? Where did you find it?
Underneath the middle of my bed. You know, and the reality is there was one other item that went missing that showed up in the same place. In a place, you know, And in 7 years, you know you've moved the bed a couple of times. It was never there. You know, and I mean, realistically, this is the size of the crystal, so you're not going to miss it. You know,
Right. Explain it for our radio audience who can't see it.
it's a crystal. It's a quartz crystal that is about the size of a 50-cent piece, of an American 50-cent piece, or maybe a Canadian toonie in lengthwise, and then about the size of a quarter in diameter. You know, now the thing is not going to, you couldn't have run over with the vacuum cleaner and not known. But as soon as it showed up again, it's a mix between clear quartz and smoky. As soon as it showed up again, my leg all of a sudden stabilized, my hand quit shaking. You know, I mean, it's just a weird setup. But weird just seems to be normal for me.
Well, you know,
Where it went 7 years ago, I don't know.
You are the king of the weird, my friend, and that's why we love you around here. That's the truth. Let's just be honest. You know, you wear that crown very, very beautifully. You know, your pageantry into the woo is phenomenal. Keith, as we move on here, for people who may be tuning in for the first time, okay, you're somebody who doesn't follow the news. You're somebody who doesn't follow the public UFO story about whether or not disclosure is going to happen. You don't follow the big names, whether it's Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, David Grush, or any of them. You know, why do you choose to follow this path and not stay on top of it news-wise?
Yeah, how do I put this? I'm going to have to apologize to start with, because I know I'm going to offend somebody. But in my opinion, now bearing in mind I can't track it to start with, but whenever I talk to people that are researching it, and this is no offense intended to anybody, you're looking up other people's interactions, other people's findings, and essentially rewording it in your own words. Sometimes you're reading it directly out of articles, you know, so it's not rewording it so much as you're simply amalgamating a whole pile of other people's experiences. I don't have any to amalgamate. You know, by not following any of them, I end up with a completely unbiased approach to it. You know, where nobody's made any adjustment for it. And of course, I get asked the normal, where do you get your information? For me, it's firsthand experience. And no, I do not expect people to believe it. You know, that's on the individual's part. But that's why I don't do any of the research. Most of the information that is, in my experience, most of the information that is reported is either missing critical things, or real necessary questions weren't asked. Now, can I give you specifics on which questions weren't asked? No, because quite frankly, I don't follow any of it, so I'm missing a little bit of information.
Why
but
take
that's
that
pretty
path?
much the reason for it.
Why take that path?
Well, I could. Well, I've had so much in the way of experience in the first place, I don't require the extra information. You know, I don't require the extra input to tell me whether I'm losing my mind. I question it all the time. And the only thing that stops me, the one thing I found when I talk to literally every psychiatrist, every psychologist, or student thereof, every one of them has told me the same thing. If you're questioning whether you're losing your mind or not, you're not. Because if you were losing your mind, you wouldn't be questioning it. You know, and I sort of have to look at that and go, okay, that's where I'm standing with it. But because I've had so much, and I do constantly question it, you know, what happens is I'll go, this is what I'm going through. And somebody, sure as shooting, will come out and go, well, that's exactly what it said in this report. Great. You know, from my standpoint, I'm appreciative of the corroboration, but I'm not getting it by reading the report in the first place. I mean, it took me, 4 months before I realized who Lou Elizondo was, never mind what he was talking about. And same problem with when I first heard about Greer. And in all honesty, to this day, I've never listened to any of either one of them.
Do you think it gives you a clearer concept of what experiencers are going through if you don't taint yourself with the political side of everything?
The best I can do is it makes sense that it would, because I don't have the other input. So all I've got is, you're going through this. Well, been there, done that. I know what it's like to wake up on the table when you're bound down, and to have somebody staring at you or something staring at you from above. I know what it's like to feel a tentacle wrap around your arm to take your pulse. And I don't mean somebody wrapping a like a blood pressure machine around your arm. I mean like wrapping a tentacle around your arm. So and like when people talk about the mantis, or who I know as the Gleeclock, looking down on you, I know what it feels like to have that kind of face staring at you. I don't need to read it in a magazine or read it in a report from somebody else.
No,
it's like even
I can totally understand that. I can totally understand where you're going with that. And I think everybody else can too. Keith, for you, as you embark on your journey of a lifetime here in helping experiencers, what's the biggest cause of emotion that people have?
Well, there's two causes for it. The biggest one is a sense of lack of control. They don't know what caused it. They don't know what to expect with it. They don't know how they're supposed to react to it, because if they turn to their friends, their family, professionals, and worst of all, many, and I know this is going to set somebody off, many of the so-called UFO researchers, you ask them about it, and they will literally jump to the conclusion, oh, you're making it up. It didn't happen. You're making it up to get your attention. The people that are going through it, the last thing you guys want is to have somebody tell you you're trying to get attention. You don't want the event in the first place. I mean, there's nothing more disconcerting than not knowing where you are or how you got there, then showing up back at home. Then showing up back at home and turning around and not knowing how you got back. I know what it's like to be returned and dropped from the ceiling. I didn't read about it. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I had it happen in front of my girlfriend. Well, technically it was beside her. Okay, not my current one, by the way. So yeah, if you're reading about it, you get all these neat little fantastical ideas. Now, I do watch science fiction movies, but the advantage there is I'm looking at it going, it's a movie. Do I know that some of the races they depict are taken from reality? The answer is yeah. Absolutely, I do. But I can look at a movie and go, that's a movie, and enjoy it for what it is. When you start reading the reports, from what I gather, some of the reports, number one, are extremely ambiguous, understandably. But I'm not reading the report, so all I'm getting is, this is what the person's going through, and I can feel the anxiety. Sadly, in many cases, I can relate to it. Rest assured, that would be one of those things, if I had an option, I wouldn't be able to. But I don't have that option.
What options do you have?
Live with it, work with it, accept the fact that it's going on, and move forward from there. You just have to literally, and especially if you're an experiencer that hasn't figured out how to cope with it, the first thing you got to do is treat it as though it's real. Okay? Watch for that little piece of information that explains it. But start with, this is what has happened. You can analyze the daylight out of it and maybe find a way to explain it. Maybe. But if you start off, in my opinion and my experience, if you start off going, this is really happening, Now I just have to figure out how to cope. You'll be in a whole lot more stable state of mind.
I get
You know,
that,
because
and I can
that's what
appreciate
breaks it.
No, I get that, and I can appreciate that, Keith. You know, the idea is, though, it that scares a lot of people is we do not have control. We don't have control over the phenomena. It's not just ETs. It's paranormal and ghosts. It's cryptids like Bigfoot. We don't seem to have control of the situation. And like last weekend when we were in the forest and we got literally, you know, that feeling that we needed to leave because we were being surrounded by Sasquatch. It was a humbling experience. It was the thought of it all that we were being, lack of a better term, stalked was not very comfortable. It was very emotional. It was difficult to get over, and I can honestly admit it took me until at least Wednesday or Thursday to finally get over it, Keith.
Oh, it can be disconcerting, extremely. See, and I look at it from the other side of it. I mean, I agree with you. It's the fact of not being in control that humans run into. They're not in control of what's going on. But the other side of this is I'm also empathic, so I feel what animals and what the planet itself are doing. And humans do the same thing to animals. For that matter, they do the same thing to plants. The animals and plants don't feel in control either. So I can sympathize with what humans are going through, certainly. And having been there, well, you think about it. I'd have been about 3 years old when the Talons literally broke my arm just to find out how much tension it would take. That was their whole reason. Needless to say, them and I still don't get along all that well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm not sure why that didn't work out as a real friendly gesture. It's kind of like humans shooting at aliens and at UFOs, and then going, "Are they friendly?" I mean, I look at it and it's like sort of tongue in cheek. Well, tell me, if somebody opens fire on you on your doorstep or in your car, are you going to be friendly? Because my guess is not likely. So
I don't think so.
I definitely think, probably not.
Yeah. Keith, when we look at the emotion of it all, and the reason why I'm getting into the emotion is because of what happened to us last week in the forest. Okay, there was no ET. There was no ET contact, unfortunately, but there was a couple of real close calls with our friend the Sasquatch. And it was weird to feel the energy change from hey, I know you're here, see that little footprint of 17 inches I just put right by your camp when you guys were away. That was kind of cool. Okay, but you could feel the energy change as the night grew darker, that we had worn out our welcome. And as you stated, I think the word disconcerting was probably one of the biggest interests of the biggest things that we had to face there. And finally, it was called that it was time to go. It was time to go. Like everything said, it was time to go.
And the first thing that crosses my mind when you do that, when you relate that, recount, that's what I'm looking for, is when you looked at the footprint, just a curiosity thing, did you happen to take a mold of it? Probably not. But much more importantly, in my eyes, did you notice with the big toe whether it was somewhat separated from the rest of the foot? As a wider than normal gap.
To be honest, the print looked like it only had 3 toes on it. But I know on camera it's a lot more clearer.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to look at because having run into Sasquatch myself, Now, I know there can be altercations, but they are one of the gentlest races I've run into. But there is another race that looks extremely like a Sasquatch, with the sole difference from a evidential standpoint of the foot being shaped differently. It looks far more like a hand than it does a foot. And of course,
Yeah,
if it only had three toes, it's quite possible you had a wounded one. Either way.
it did leave a gift, though. It did leave a gift. And that was about a 7-8 foot long, like, I'm going to call that a staff.
Right.
Okay. And the funny part about it is, Keith, there's a couple of interesting points on this. Number one, prior to us leaving camp, we got hit with a thunderstorm and a real downpour. Not a torrential downpour as I described it earlier. I think that's a little bit exaggerated, but a downpour, a heavy rain. Everything was soaking wet. This stick was dry. Number one. Number two, the stick was leaning against a tree where in 2018, Merle was right beside that tree when we were chased out of the forest by a Sasquatch then. I'm of the belief, and I could be absolutely 100% wrong here, but I am of the belief that whoever left that stick, that staff was meant for Merle. And I think it was a sorry about that, about the last time type of action from this creature who probably recognized him. Now, that might be a little romantic on the cryptid front, but it just seems to make sense in this weird world of cryptid puzzles.
That stick or staff, depending on how you want to look at it, I'm presuming you didn't keep it.
I don't have it. We made a trade. So Merle took it, and because it was placed there for us.
Right.
We do not. Okay, so the other interesting part about that too is that we have on film that exact area, and that branch, it's not even a branch, that stick or staff or whatever you want to call it, was not there. It was not there.
Okay.
So we made a trade. We gave up, we figured this was a gift, and we gave a gift back because that's the way the Sasquatch like it.
And that's the way it works. Yeah. Curiosity, because that staff has my attention in case you couldn't tell. Did it have what appeared to be a knot at the top of the staff?
How about at the bottom that looks like it was already twisted and rooted from the ground with a broken root on it with fresh dirt?
That works quite well. That just means you put the staff down head first.
Yeah.
So Merle took the staff home, I take it, or did you didn't leave it with them?
We all felt that staff was meant for Merle. Just everything about the energy about it.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with your assessment. The funny thing about it is what that staff is.
Well, we only got about 15 seconds before we have to go to break. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that staff. We're going to take some audience questions. R Keith Andrews special edition here, as we are going the full 3 hours tonight with Keith on this big show that we call Spaced Out Radio. We love Keith around here. And yeah, it's always amazing the answers that feel so true that come out of Keith's mouth each and every night when he's on the show with me. Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We will be right back right after this, everybody. All right, Keith. I just want to not have any staff talk during the break because I want to make sure we get it on air, okay?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
All right. Hi, Super Crazy. How you doing? Good to have you here. So you're wearing your
So what do you
Chicago
think of it? No,
Blackhawks shirt?
no. Local team called Chiefs. It was actually
Oh,
a gift. It's a local hockey team. But it was a gift from a soon-to-be MMA fighter. Used to be a waitress here, moved out of the area to pursue her dream.
oh, nice. Good for her.
Yeah, I think it's the end of this month she gets her first actual professional MMA fight. She's been fighting amateur for a while, but I believe that she's hitting the big time this week, this month.
Oh, good for her. Good for her.
Needless to say, I don't follow MMA either. I just happen to know who she is because she used to be a waitress. But no, I recently had to, on my stream, I literally had to turn around and put some new safeguards in place to avoid annoying complications.
I hear you. I hear you, my man.
I tell you, Dave, that trip to Reno paid
Yeah.
off way more than we were expecting.
In what way?
In as much as August 13th until 27th, I'm going down to see my other half for a couple of weeks.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's
Beautiful.
already set in motion, so we're just waiting for it to happen now.
Oh, good. Good, my man.
It's funny, we managed to spend our birthdays together, and this will be our 4th year anniversary while we're down in Utah.
Nice. You gonna meet her parents or her family?
One of them. I am the mother. I know I'm supposed to meet. As far as the siblings, I don't know. The mother's theoretically going to be picking us up at the airport to get us to the hotel. I've already actually met the mother over FaceTime, but we haven't met face to face yet. So we'll see where that goes. But on the plus side, even spending a week with her, we still, and I'm not complaining about this, we still haven't had even one argument.
Beautiful.
I'm certainly not going to complain about that side.
Right. We got about a minute and a half here, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been an interesting run.
All right, we got about a minute. Draculticon, how are you? Been a while. Turbotone, nice to see you. Where's all the questions, peeps? You know what this show is about. The show is about bringing Keith on for you. Where are they? Where's them questions? All right, you got about 15 seconds. Thank you to Melvin and Cat Chaser for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people, so make it happen. Go make yourself look good. Here we go. Let's kick off the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We really do appreciate you coming on in and hanging out with us as we got the captain of the Woo Train, R Keith Andrews, here for a good portion of the night. Like all of it. Yeah, all of it. All right. Want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button, and on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection. And right before the break, we were telling Keith about what happened last week out in the forest here in British Columbia, where we got chased out of the forest by Sasquatch. Yes, believe it or not, it actually happened. Keith, we were talking about the staff that was left for Merle, and you had some questions about that.
Well, fortunately, he gave those to me. It's more of a comment at this point. The way you're describing the staff, first of all, it was set head down. The reason for that, I do agree with you. There is no doubt in my heart that was a gift to Merle because apparently they startled the heck out of him last time. That is not their intention. So many people, like I see all these reports, oh, massively aggressive Sasquatch. That's kind of like saying a massively aggressive marijuana user. They just don't have that drive to them unless you corner them. Okay. But they determined that staff, I would lay odds, is a shaman stick. Meaning one of their spiritual guides gave it up to Merle to say, oops, this is our way of saying you're kin. Okay. Not that he looks like a Sasquatch, but that they're accepting that he is essentially safe to have around. You can't really get much higher of an accolade.
Well, the interesting part about it is it still trips me out that the stick, after a torrential downpour, where it was sitting, that stick was actually bone dry, except about 2.5 feet up, 3 feet up, where it looked like there was some sort of wetness, like almost like a grip print on it.
Ultimately correct. You got to remember, that staff is treated so it won't rot.
And you know what the other thing I thought about it the other day is this, Keith. A lot of times when you pick up a stick, let's say you grab a pointer stick or a hot dog stick or whatever that you're going to do in the forest, all right? They usually have those little branches on them. And when you break those branches off, it leaves a little nub in there that's still quite rough. You know what I'm saying? And this literally, Keith, had
I didn't hear it at all.
Okay, you didn't hear me. So when you take let's say you grab a branch from the ground, there are subsequent branches that follow off that tree. Okay? This one had none. This one had none. Like when you break off the branch and it has that little nubbin on the end from you snapping the branch off, there's some sharp points to it.
Right.
This didn't have any. This was smoothed out. I mean, you could see that the tree had some, or the staff had some like like bug markings on it from when it had bark on it. Okay.
Right.
You could see that, some beautiful designs on it, but they weren't hand carved. You could literally tell they were from, some sort of bug that was in between the staff and the bark when it had bark on there.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But the rest of it, it was smooth, man. It was completely smooth.
Which, for my way of thinking, makes 100% total sense. You got to remember, first and foremost, there are abilities that the Sasquatch have that we haven't even begun to deal with. Okay, not the least of which is their ability to smooth out wood, or to warp wood, if you will, to warp it, to form it, to shape it. And it's not like what humans do when they bend it and get it to grow that way. These guys will take an absolutely crooked staff. They'll grab it on one end, and they'll put their hand right beside the first hand, then pull it down and straighten the whole thing out. And yes, I know that sounds weird, but welcome to my world. But you are right. If there was a wet, what looked like a palm print, odds are that's where they grabbed it.
Oh, hugely.
Can I prove it? Not a prayer. Something else I should point out. Like I said, the brand, that staff would have been treated to stop it from rotting, providing it stayed inside Sasquatch territory. You gotta remember, these guys literally will bolster the energy levels around their own neighborhood as a way of protecting it.
Right. I get that.
Definitely, if Merle hasn't done so already, it'd be a really good idea to get solid pictures of it, just so he's got them for later, because the thing may deteriorate. And depending on how old it was, it could deteriorate in a hurry.
Well, it is in safe possession inside his house.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Yeah, it is in safe possession but inside his house. So I think that's a good sign. And, like we debated whether or not we should take it. We did debate it. Okay. We felt that there was such a strong pull towards Merle with that it was really something that we had to do. Like I wasn't taking it, Samantha wasn't taking it, nobody else there with us was taking it. That was like slated for Merle. And
right.
I can't stress that enough.
No, but I can tell you, you read the energy right. For whatever that means to you.
Why do you think they post that? I have my own theory, which I said earlier. Why do you think, Keith, that they posted that staff for Merle?
Well, two major factors. One, clearly, and this is without knowing what you guys have been up to, obviously, but clearly Merle would have had to have been up there multiple times for them to get to know him at all. Okay, and with that in mind, if he was treating the area with what the Sasquatch refer to as proper care, okay, as a living member, even though he is not clearly, I mean, I've met Merle, the guy is not a Sasquatch, okay, but being called and being handed that staff, that was their way of saying he is a Sasquatch friend.
Right. Before we move on to audience questions here, what else do you have to say about that?
Well, the real big thing just dawned on me, and I don't know what the name is offhand. Sasquatch have an actual name, and it just dawned on me where I saw it written. I can't tell you what it is right now. During the next break, I'll take a look for it. But ultimately, you're looking at a group of people that were certainly not trying to scare you. Okay, I suspect you've been up there long enough that what they were having problems with was the young ones wanting to go and see what these hairless short people were. Okay, and therefore the adults, because there's all sorts of things that can go sideways on that, simply went, no, we've got to remove the problem before the kids create a bigger one. I've met a young Sasquatch, right? And they are curious, but still very gentle. I've yet to run into a legitimate claim that a Sasquatch was violent. Now, the Wara, which look extremely similar to a Sasquatch, have been known to tear people apart. The other possibility there of chasing you out of the area was if there was, as I suspect, a Wara in the area, the Sasquatch would have wanted you guys gone before they dealt with it. AKA protecting people that were still, because I know you, Dave, you treat the area as though it's a sanctuary right off the bat anyway.
Yes.
Okay. And let's face it, that gets the attention of Sasquatch in a hurry. So they wouldn't have wanted you guys there, but the staff would have been a simple marker of, here, this is for you. It was intended as a gift. There is no question there. Okay. But it would have been a case of put it there now, vacate the area. And by the way, it was probably that staff that triggered that kind of I gotta leave type feeling.
I want to ask you one more thing about it. Why do you think we were forced out?
Like I said, I suspect you had a Wara in the neighborhood. And if you had a Wara in the neighborhood, the Wara would have killed at least one of you just because. Might have been for a snack, might have been just because he wanted to make a statement. Wara are not known as, shall we say, amicable, and certainly not towards the Sasquatch. But then, as you're already aware, the Sasquatch are protectors of who you call Earth, you call Gaia, I call Itza. Okay, but they are her protectors. And therefore, they will do what they have to protect her and the children that are actually paying attention. You guys don't damage the woods when you're out there. Heck, you barely leave a footprint when you leave. So the issue of chasing you off likely was for your safety. If that makes any sense.
Yes. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense regarding that. And I just think that they are, let me just say that we're going back again very soon, and we will be able to give those results here on the show. I'm curious to see a couple of things there, because we did clean up the area. We took all our garbage home, as everybody should when you go in the forest. We cleaned up the area of deadfall because we were allowed campfires. And, we burnt a lot of deadfall there that could be dangerous to the area in case of a lightning strike or a forest fire. We made sure that we did not leave anything of our tools, clothing, camping supplies there. We wanted to make sure that, we did the responsible thing. So
right.
That's why I'm looking at it.
No, that makes total sense. Well, when you go back up, you remember where the staff was, clearly.
Yes.
Okay, go to that tree and look. When you're looking at the tree, look to the right, just behind it, about 2 feet. What you're looking for is a faded footprint.
Okay.
But curious about is the configuration of said footprint.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because the ground has dried up around here quite a bit because we're now in that British Columbia heat wave, just like you are down there.
Right.
And summer has officially begun. So it's going to be interesting to see how the ground has salvaged any sort of prints that we might be able to see.
Yeah, which is exactly what I said. Faded is I'm figuring you might have a problem with it. One thing I can suggest is put your hand in about that location and feel if you can feel a pressure point, as in compressed ground.
Right. Well, the good news is I believe my buddy Mark is coming with us, and Mark is a tracking expert. He's a
Bonus.
complete yeah, so we are able to have him look at it. He's actually the one who found the print, which is pretty amazing considering he never wanted to believe in Sasquatch, but he found the
Those are
print.
usually the fun ones.
Yeah. So it's going to be real cool to see how that happens and how it plays out. Right?
Oh yeah, it'll be definitely kind of fun.
Yeah.
Probably more than a little disconcerting for him.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go. Keith, we got about 7 minutes here before we need to go to break here at the top of the hour. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection is here with us. Let's go to some audience questions, if you don't mind, because they are starting to build up here. And that's the reason why we have you. Audience questions. Let's start off with Whoopoo here, who is asking, Keith, what are reptilians' main source of food?
The massive majority of them are carnivores, which means anything meat. Okay, the majority of them, I mean, let's face it. I'm putting a list together, but I think I've got close to a dozen reptilians. Okay, that are not all related, but reptilians on the whole are literal, they're carnivores. So their primary food will be whatever's available, but they don't usually hunt sentient. So you'd be looking at deer. Some will go after cattle if that's what's available, or you run after whatever is in the neighborhood that they're living in. But if you're asking if there's a specific race, like as in do they prefer venison over moose, that depends person to person. And yeah, I refer to them as people. They just look different and have different toys. But that's the best way I can put it. They don't eat much in the way of vegetable. As a buddy of mine put it, they're secondhand vegetarians. They let the herbivores eat the meat, the grass. They eat the herbivores.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, the only thing I was going to add is there are some reptilians that won't hunt herbivores. They hunt carnivores because they like the challenge. Ultimately, that's what you're looking at.
But when we say reptilians, there are many species of alleged reptilians out there, Keith. Some of them do good, some of them do bad. How do we know the difference?
Absolutely. It's not a racial thing. Okay, just like humans, you've got the majority of humans that behave in one way, but you've got some that are really good and some that are really bad. Okay, of the ones I know of that are really good, your Sirzazians, which are 7.5 to 8.5 foot armored reptilians, they are mankind's allies. Tormenon, well, quite frankly, they go to the highest bidder. You take a look at the Sarkon, and these guys are literally all related. You look at the Sarkon, They want to rule it all. They don't want to fight to rule it all. They want to rule what all is left. That from their standpoint, they just are supposed to. The Sarkon are what you guys know as Alpha Draconis. Okay. Or the Great Drake. Then you've got things like let's see, what are they called? Zarkon, I believe. I'd have to double check it. But they are essentially one of the happiest little groups of people. And they do eat insects. Okay, but you gotta remember these guys at their tallest are only 6 inches. So they're not gonna be hunting down lions. Run like heck from them. But they are, you've got good ones, you've got bad ones. Even, and this might surprise even you, Dave, even the Zeta Reticulans fall under the category of reptilian. Although they do not look like most of the reptilians that you run into. But they are.
Oh, I got it. All right, let's go to another question here, Keith. Let's go to AAO, who is asking, are you afraid of being taken again? That's how I feel.
I can understand you feeling that way in all fairness there, Al. From my standpoint, not at all. But then I'm in a rather unique position. I went from abductee to contactee to consultant. So I've got a different I've got a different venue or purview than what you have. But I can certainly understand the issue of I don't want to be taken again. There are certain races I definitely don't want to be taken again by. I would just as soon the Talon move out of the area. I don't get along with them at all. But then we've had a long history that didn't get along. But no, am I afraid of being taken? Not in the slightest. For me, it's easier to keep an eye on these guys and easier to understand what they're doing than it is to understand what humans are doing to themselves. Of course, we all have to understand. These guys went through what humans are going through now. These guys went through it 1,000 years ago. Now they're on the other side of that. And they still haven't figured out that war is not the solution. So mankind is not alone in that misunderstanding.
I get that. All right, Keith, we got 90 seconds. Let's sneak one more in here from Shiny. Keith, did any of the aliens get upset at all with all of the fireworks during the 4th of July?
Bearing in mind you said any, wouldn't be a shock. And that's simply because the young ones would be the ones to get upset about it. The older ones, you got to remember, they're dealing with a lot noisier explosions than fireworks. That's kind of like if you liken it to what some of the vets, thanks very much for their service, go through when they come back from battlefield. You're used to explosions, and then you get these little colorful displays. Great fireworks, great shows, but they just don't have the impact.
I got it.
So
Go ahead. You got 20 seconds.
Does some get upset? Undoubtedly. But it's not something that you put a lot of worry into.
Keith, on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we got Keith for another 2 hours on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Yes, we're turning up the woo. More questions from you, the audience members, if you are in our YouTube chat live, and we will get them to Keith as the night goes on. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us on in. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Keith, I'm just going to take a quick break. I'm going to put you in the green room, and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. Let's get Keith back in here. Hi, Fast Hemi. I am Pam, by the way. I am Pam. I am Pam. catching up on the questions here, Keith.
Yeah, not a problem. I haven't bothered looking at most of them. There were a couple I spotted, not the questions, but comments that were made that I'm looking at going, okay, what triggered that? But that's a curiosity thing. But because I'm not in YouTube itself, I can't respond to anything in there anyway because I don't know how to get logged into StreamYard. I don't really care from that standpoint.
I am not Dave. I am Pam. Joe Monk is Pam. Pixie Lara is Pam. But in reality, when it comes down to it, I am Pam. Thank you to Greg, Melvin, and Cat Chaser for the amazing super chats tonight. Excuse me. And don't forget, we got great swag at spacedoutradio.com. Click on our shop. We don't have any ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So check it on out. Here we go. All right, here is hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Questions about ET Contact, alien abduction, and much more. R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on the show. So make sure you stay with us here. All right, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network right across the world. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the Space Travelers Club. A Blutomania. A Blutomania is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues here on the big show, where we're getting into all weird, strange questions from our audience dealing with extraterrestrials, ET contact, cryptids, and everything in between. Keith, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, not a problem. Thanks so much for everybody that pops in. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course. All right, let's get to some more questions here for you, Keith. Let's start off with Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll always hit a home run for you. Keith, is frequency or tune more important to get ET communication?
Frequency on the whole would be really the issue because the tune doesn't necessarily register the same way. But the frequency would be the better option. However, I will tell you a monotone frequency run is a bad idea. Picture a dog whistle. It really doesn't make them happy. So you do want to mix it up a bit, but whether you want to call it a tune or just a wavelength, that's up to you.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Go to AAO. Hi, Keith. What do you know about the planet Maldek? Can you tell what species takes people and puts them in their womb rooms on ships? 2 questions there, Keith. Let's start off with Maldek.
Well, Maldek, quite frankly, I haven't heard that name in a while, but that is another name for Mars. We'll start there. Mars is known as Mars from Earth, Maldek from many of the other areas, and Martok by the residents of the planet in the first place. We start with that. Okay. Now, the neat part about it is the womb rooms you're talking about aren't Maldakian. They belong in all likelihood. Now, there are a number of different styles of womb rooms I've seen. So I'd need a little bit more to understand which race you're referring to as far as the womb rooms go. Because there are a number of them. So that one, Dave, we're going to have to wait till we get just a little more information from him.
All right. Let's move on to the second part of the question, which is what species takes people and puts them in womb rooms on ships?
The most common one would be the Talon. But this is assuming that we're looking at, and this is what I was referring to, it depends on what the womb room is designed like. If you're dealing with Talon, if you've ever seen a room that is completely coated in what looks like webbing, in all fairness, it is, that's one type of room. The Talon are the ones who do that. Now, those guys are the ones I have problems with. Mind you, in all fairness, they did find out that it's not necessarily a good idea to leave a torch available, because the webbing is actually flammable, which is wonderful, but didn't make them all that happy.
No, I think the most interesting perspective of these womb rooms would be in the movie Fire in the Sky, which was based on a true story of Travis Walton's abduction, but it wasn't the true story whatsoever. It was the Hollywood version.
Mhm.
And in there, he was in what looked like a womb room where his
Right.
body was, there was like this, I don't even know what the gelatin type of cover that he had to, that he was laying in. And there was like this hardened seal of gelatin that he had to rip through in order to get to where he was in the movie. That is, I mean,
Yeah.
would that be the perfect description of that?
None of the one that, I mean, I saw what they did with the movie. Okay. And what you're describing is an Eniod regeneration chamber. You know, it's an old style Eniod regeneration chamber. The Eniod, just to be clear, are what the Egyptians used to worship as gods. And that little cocoon was was one of their earlier generation of what became their overall regeneration chambers. Highly accelerated, used for putting people back together if they got hurt. Usually their own people, by the way.
All right,
But you are absolutely right.
Let's move on to a new question here. Let's go over
Absolutely.
to Joe. Uncle Keith, do you have any new figures that you're painting? Because you're into
I'm
Dungeons.
working on a couple of them. Yeah, I've got a number of them. I don't have them down back here, but I will be bringing them to light actually on my own stream, and I am starting to post them in the newsletter as well, because I've been working on some of the other ones that are kind of a necessary little issue. You're going to have to pardon my painting, though. I am not good at it.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Super Crazy. Are there any ETs that have unaided natural ability to fly like Superman?
There are a number of them. Okay. I think one of the most prominent would be the Zeron, I think. No, not the Zeron. I'm just going to grab this because I know which one I'm looking for, and it's the name I'm having trouble with. I've just got the short list here by looking at the index. Oh, I was right. It is the Zeron. Now, you got to remember, with the Zeron, they have a lot of hyperactive, what you would call psionic capacity, or Superman-like abilities, where it's literally their mind they put to use. But they've got the flight available. They've got molecular modification. No, they're not shapeshifters, but they can make you think you're looking at somebody different. But they're one of the most obvious that doesn't have wings. Well, I think what he's looking for is the people that literally have the capacity to fly of their own free will. We're not talking after, we're talking in flight. It literally boils down to mind over gravity. Once you understand it, you can pull it off. Or more to the point, once you accept it's possible, it opens the doors. You know, the other answer that obviously goes hand in hand with that, I've never met a race that actually shoots laser beams out of their eyes. Unless you count combat goggles. At which point we got a whole array of options. But it would be the Zeron are the more likely.
Right. All right, let's continue on here. Let's go over to our next question from Melvin. Keith, we've heard about cryptoterrestrials possibly coming to get us humans. Yes, no, or BS?
We'll go with the BS. Okay. I mean, I have no doubt that some people get taken that way. But this is what I call blatant fear mongering. And I don't mean by you there, Melvin. I'm not saying you're doing the fear mongering. But this issue of people going, cryptoterrestrials are coming to take us away, not happening in my understanding. A couple of reasons for that is because it's flat out forbidden. And secondly, if they were really interested in it, you wouldn't know about it. Unlike humans, they don't leave a whole lot of marks behind. It would literally be a case of people just all of a sudden no longer showed up. I know every missing person on Earth is not an abductee. Sorry, but there's a lot more things that'll take people out of the equation than just the off-worlders.
All right, let's move on to another question here, buddy. Let's go to Paramarv. Are you familiar with the story of Indrid Cold? Can you verify anything about him or his home planet of Lanulos?
Well, we'll start with the no. I have no idea who Indrid is.
All right. Indrid Cold, also known as the Grinning Man, is a legend believed to be connected to the Mothman. First encountered by a gentleman named Woodrow Derenberger, as reported by John Keel in his book, The Mothman Prophecies. He's described as being a humanoid entity, allegedly extraterrestrial in origin, with an inhumanly large smile on his face. Indrid Cold appears as a character in the Mothman Prophecies. And he has also been depicted as a character in other works of fiction, such as podcasts, radio shows, and many others. Now, people believe that when you use the word or the name Indrid Cold, it is actually summoning him to your area, to where you are.
Well, we can safely, now I'm not going to debate whether or not the story as to who he is or where he came from holds up. Okay, I've got nothing to work with there. But that kind of maneuver of you use his name and he's going to come. Can you picture the reality behind that? Okay, that part of the story I wouldn't put any weight behind at all. Because you got a gentleman with 8 billion people on the planet. He'd have to be in several 100,000 places all at the same time. Doesn't happen. Okay, some of these stories are literally told to scare people. Okay, now the race, and I've got to track down the name of it, and the incidentals, then and the race with the oversized mouth. That I can absolutely tell you is real. What I can't tell you off the top of my head, because I've still got a stack of paper yay deep, that's an inch deep, of notes on different races I haven't cataloged yet. Okay, but I will tell you that now you guys have seen the movie. Some of you have seen an old movie from the 80s called Dark Crystal. Basically, little critter with it is 3/4 mouth. Okay, they too are a real entity. But what you're talking about is a real critter. But the issue of him is a real race. But the issue of him showing up by uttering his name, not going to happen. Magic doesn't actually work that way, and they certainly don't show up with that many people.
All right. I'm still up in the air about Indrid Cold. I really am. Maybe the legend outshines the reality, but I think he might be out
More
there.
often than not.
Had you ever heard of the planet Lanulos?
I've heard of the planet, but I can't remember exactly where it is. But I think it is somewhere out near the Draconis constellation. If I remember correctly, I know I've got it listed somewhere. Well, I know where it'll be listed, but my finding it in just that quick, not going to happen.
Right. Right. All right, let's move on to another one here. Let's go to Simon. More to the point, Keith, why do you think Bigfoot wanted my team gone out of the forest?
I suspect there was a war in the neighborhood. The Wara and the Sasquatch have been known to fight each other for a number of reasons. Oh, I forgot to look that up. I will have to do that. But no, I suspect very strongly it was a question of get the team out of there so the team doesn't end up in danger. You know, you couple that with younglings being also wanting to go and see these little hairless apes and find out what they're up to. The curiosity factor could have created a lot of complications.
All right, let's continue on here, Keith. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Let's go to Shiny. Keith, are the Bigfoot getting ready to greet humanity on a mass scale?
Not a snowball's prayer.
Nope.
And don't get me wrong, I know what the rumors are. But you think about it. Number one, these guys haven't shown up for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is a staggering number of people that use the term Sasquatch or Bigfoot hunt. Okay, and with the aggressive nature of humans, Bigfoot are not all that interested in getting shot at, which is literally how they see it. You know, individuals such as Dave, okay, they as Dave and Merle and some of these smaller teams aren't not a big problem. But en masse, people still are afraid of each other for an imagined flight. Can you picture what's going to happen when a carpet that size starts walking down the street? Humans aren't ready for it. And yes, I know there are some out there that'll go, oh, I'm ready. I could deal with it. It's one thing to think about. It's another to run into them.
Well, I think we also have to realize, too, that this is a very, very elusive creature. It does not like human contact for the most part. You know, we don't even know if it's a flesh and blood, like Keith believes, or if there's something more supernatural with it. We really don't know. We don't know where it lives. We don't know where it hides. We don't know if it buries its dead. We don't know if it can make fire. We don't know if it can communicate. We don't know a lot of things. We're learning about it. So I think the fact that it seems to shy away from people, it is curiosity. That's another thing that we would say, you know, and we'll get into that. Keith, let's get to another question. So we've got 5 minutes to go before we got to go break at the bottom of the hour. Let's go to Super Crazy. Has there ever been any Bigfoot sightings outside the forest, like in the middle of a big city?
Not that I'm personally aware of, but then I'm not the researcher. From my standpoint of view, if there had been.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Dave.
I have heard stories of that. I don't know if I truly believe those stories. It just seems a little far-fetched, you know, of stories of Bigfoot dumpster diving in the middle of Detroit. That's one that I've heard. Like I said, I don't know if I truly buy it, But hey, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Yeah, from my standpoint, it's technically possible, but you'd think if it happened, it wouldn't have made a back page. It would have made the front page or something.
Truth. All right, let's go to Shiny. Keith, do any of the aliens come down and visit Bigfoot on a regular basis?
Best I can tell you is, from my understanding, it's not so much the aliens that come down as ancient races. I mean, yes, there's no question that the reticulans come down and collect them up periodically. But like everything else on Earth, the reticulans are cataloging them, much like they're cataloging humans.
All right.
So,
do you want to continue with this?
Oh, no, we can carry on.
3 minutes to go. Let's go to Juan here. Will there be Bigfoot disclosures soon?
The number of people that have already seen Bigfoot, and whether they did or whether they claim it, the disclosure has already happened. If you're asking, is the government going to acknowledge it? I wouldn't be holding my breath. In my opinion, disclosure has already happened. It just hasn't come through governmental agencies. Can't imagine why not, but
from what I have heard, there's a very tumultuous relationship between the ETs and Sasquatch. And the minute UFOs start flying around, the Sasquatch fade off, try and get away. They're not very happy about that.
Well, let's face it, they're pretty good at getting out of sight.
Very true.
And like humans don't like being taken any more than Sasquatch do.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's move on here. Let's go to, let's see here. Let's go to next, as we got about 90 seconds. Sneak one in here from Super Crazy again. Do you think the government has captured any Bigfoots?
Wouldn't be a shock from my end. The reality is, with the amount of stuff going on, I have no doubt that they've collected one or two. Not to mention off-worlders as well. Are they going to admit it? I certainly wouldn't hold my breath waiting.
I don't know if they have.
I don't know if they have either. It's not like I'm in touch with the Canadian or any other government.
I agree with you there. I agree. I don't know if they have. I mean, the conspiratorial crowd out there, which I'm sometimes a part of, they tend to believe that there is bodies of Sasquatch in the Smithsonian and they're not releasing them because they're trying to build super soldiers. I'm not sure I buy that. I'm not sure that any story of somebody who's shot one and claimed to have killed one actually is truthful. I don't believe that at all. I don't. But I could be wrong. Keith, hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues when we return on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Beauty. Good start, Keithy Keith.
It is going very well, very quickly, in all fairness.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions here to go yet, too. Lots of questions.
I'm sending you a question in the private side.
All right. You question away. I'll be ready for it.
Maybe.
Waiting.
Let's finish that last word. That word.
You sending it on Facebook?
No, I sent it actually through the private chat.
Private chat. All right.
And of course, it scrolled, so I can't see where it is anymore. I can't even give you a time.
All right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. ISG Nav Spotter. Remember, if you want questions asked, you got to put them in capital letters. Stephanie Jackson, how are you? The Doug Shelby is Pam. The Doug Shelby is Pam. The We've got a few minutes yet, Keith.
Yeah. No, I'm still here. I've got my coffee, so I'm good.
Nice.
Well, we have our priorities. You know.
I had to get salt for my water softener today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, those 40-kilogram bags are heavy.
Yeah, 40 kilograms kind of tells you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
80, almost a 90-pound bag. Ish.
No, I think they're only 40 pounds. Pardon me. 20 kilograms.
Okay. If they're only 40 pounds, that's fine.
But either way.
40 pounds is still a heavy amount of salt.
Do. Right. We got about 35 seconds. Thank you to Greg, Melvin, and Cat Chaser for the amazing super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. Thank you to all of our new subscribers. and everybody tuning in on our podcast. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. Nothing ugly there. Promise you. Go check it out. We're going to have to add some new stuff soon. Pretty sure of that. We've got about 7 seconds here, Keith.
Yep.
Your sideburns look incredible today.
I appreciate that.
Give them a little touch for us.
These ones. Yeah, they're
Here
not
we
going anywhere. So my other half.
All right, let's kick off the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're halfway through with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. He's sticking around for the full show. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio or tune us in on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We're getting it going right now. Mr. Keith, thank you so much for being here tonight. We always appreciate your lovely sideburns for coming on in.
Well, number one, thank you for having me, and thanks so much for everybody that joins us. Literally, if it weren't for them, this show wouldn't work.
We're going to kick off audience questions here with Polly, who is asking, I've had lucid dreams with giant spiders, Keith. How are they related to the ET phenomena?
That would be the giant spiders would be Taurians. Okay. But the fact you're having lucid dreams, right off the bat, I'll tell you that's a good way to scramble the purpose of dreams. But the spider-like race are the Taurians. And if you've watched YouTube, they've got one where it shows this absolutely brilliantly shining orb that's flying like a bat out of guess where, being chased by either an F-15 or an F-18 and outrunning it. Okay. So are these guys real? Yeah. But they're not. We're not talking about 50-foot spiders by any functional stretch.
No 50-foot spiders.
No, I think the Taurians are only like 7. I think that's right.
Don't know how I feel about that. Don't know how I feel.
Go to Australia. They've got 5-foot spiders here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in them either.
No. All right, Keith, let's move on to another question. This one from Cosmic Joe. Keith, what alien race do you personally like the most?
Alien race? None of one. Okay. There are individuals that I get along with extremely well. But as a race goes, they've all, pretty much all of them have a strength and weakness. But I literally don't play favorites with any race in particular. Which I know isn't necessarily going to be the answer people want, but it does happen to be the way it is.
Okay. Let's go to Super Crazy again. Where did the Sasquatch come from? Are they from Earth? Oh, the great debate between Keith and I is about to begin.
Yeah. This is the one that Dave and I quite readily agree to disagree on. Myself, they are Terran. Okay, they were born here, they evolved here, they live here. According to Dave, and I'll let Dave fill you in on that one. In my opinion, it's real simple. They've been on Earth for as long as I can recall. And rest assured, that's a while. But they have to be caretakers of the forest.
And me, I disagree with Keith. I think that they may not be from here. I think that they have some sort of supernatural ability. I don't know why. It's just the way I feel. Probably because I've had ones just seem to vanish. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Keith could be right, but we just don't know, my friend. We just don't know. Let's move on. Let's go over to Yennefer, because she prefers a soft J. Do aliens deal with similar issues like us? Example, health, money, social mentality.
Honestly, aside from their toys, most of the other races are very similar to what humans go through and have had their same social conflicts, i.e., community, society nearly tearing itself apart, mental issues, social issues. Most of them don't have monetary issues just because they don't use money, at least not off world. Okay, can't speak for on world for the most part, but off world they deal with manpower, or more to the point, man hours. But the rest of it is all, but it's still essentially the same thing. You've still got the arguments of, oh, my work's more valuable than yours. I hold this position, so I'm better than you are. It's the same thing. This is why I say they're not that different from humans. It's also why I say I know the path humans are going down, and it's not a good one.
No, we're pretty egocentric right now. Let's go to Judith, who is asking, hi there, Keith. What are the Mothmen? What do they do?
I am still at a loss on that one because I still haven't bothered looking into them, to be honest. I really should make a note of it and make a point of it. Because I don't personally know much about what the Mothmen are or who they were supposed to be. Remember that thing about I don't research? There's a reason for it. But I really should look into that one because they get asked way too many times.
I don't know what they are either. I really don't know what they are either. Let's go to Polly. Can remote viewing change our timeline?
Not a snowball's prayer. I've heard the theory before, and it is one of the biggest loads that I've heard. But no, your timeline is the past is the past. You're stuck with it. The future is what you decide to make it. It's not, the future is not written, and the past is not changeable. So all remote viewing is literally looking at a distant point. You can use remote viewing to look back through time and see events that occurred, but you cannot alter them. Okay, it's the same problem with going back in time. It doesn't happen. I've heard the stories, I've heard the claims. Doesn't work that way. Okay, you can move forward in time, but the problem is you can't come back. Okay, so anybody that does go forward, well, pretty much they're stuck there. Catch up to them in a few decades or centuries, depending. But no, remote viewing has no viable impact on reality at all.
All right, let's continue on here, Keith. Let's go to Brown Dwarf. Are the Mozzies still around, and are they in touch with ETs? If so, which ones?
Yeah, the biggest problem I have is I have no idea which race you know of as the Mozzies. So without a description of what I'm looking at, because I may well know them by a different name. But the Mozzies themselves, I don't know the name. Which creates a bit of a problem with the rest of it.
All right, moving on. Let's go to Polly. The gone ones, abducted people that don't come back. Why do they not come back?
Well, death on purpose, death by accident, slavery, dropped off on a zoo, return to the wrong location so that they don't know they're back. Complete mental degradation or complete mental wipe. They don't know who they are, so can't tell you they came back. the number, and that's not just by off-worlders. Okay, some people that go missing are the victims of human criminality. Okay, whether it is individuals, a group, a government, I don't know. But the numbers of people that go missing are not all ET. Are not all ET related. So, I mean, come up with an idea. The odds are it'll hit one. And yes, there are some that have gone to different planets and not returned because they asked not to. Talk about the ultimate getaway from your life.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Vanessa. Have you met angels and or archangels, demons, Grand Marquis?
Well, the Grand Marquis term I haven't heard. But angels, archangels, and demons, yes. Now understand, I've met demons. Demons, as it's spelled there, is a religious construct. Demons, on the other hand, are an interesting group. Them I've met, the Angelos, which is what you know as angels, I've absolutely met. Some are really, well, the nice thing with Angelos is they are extremely passionate in all aspects of life, be it combat or reproduction. Okay. Like even in the arts, they are an extremely enthusiastic, vibrant race. Okay. As for demons, you really don't want to tick them off. They enjoy hurting people. And that's literally how their whole society's evolved. Okay. Is based on he who is the most violent usually gets the most to eat. Not a pleasant dinner table to sit around. At least not for humans. As for the Grand Marquis, don't know.
Let's go to Polly. What is the alien plan for disclosure, since I don't think they will land in the White House or on the White House lawn?
In about 50 to 100 years, they'll start making, if it stays on the path it's on, and mankind does not blow himself back to the Stone Age, they are looking at probably 50 to 100 years from now, starting to make cursory touch. Hopefully by then, mankind will have figured out that humans around the world are all the same species. Okay, and are not better than each other. That being one of the qualifiers of going, okay, you're now ready to enter the consortium. Now that you've got a global government, not a dictatorship. Okay, when humans evolve to that point, that's when they will start making serious plans to reach out and go, okay, now we'll reach out to individuals, which may, by the way, not be government leaders, depending. Will depend entirely on the people that are alive at that point. So realistically, if you're in your 50s to 60s, I would not hold my breath on actually seeing it happen. Okay, quite honestly, I wouldn't bet on it if you're just newborn. Because you got to remember, they are not permitted to actually interfere with the natural xeno-socioeconomic evolution of the resident race. They've got to let mankind do their own thing. And mankind is not even close to dealing with true off-worlders. Not on the whole. And yeah, I know some of you are going to be sitting there going, I would really like to meet one. Yeah, probably would. But it falls under the same category of, I'd really like to go and cuddle with a crocodile in the Nile. Not a wise idea, but could be entertaining for a short period.
All right, let's continue on, Keith, with another question. Let's go to Simon. R. Keith, how does the woo conclude? What's our final evolution?
if people don't, well, even if they do, the long-term range of it is we get back to what the Lemurians did 50,000 years ago. We have the capacity, humans today have the capacity, they just don't realize it, of physical manifestation. As in, I desire an apple in the palm of my hand. There's the apple in the palm of your hand. Where we have peace on earth, there is no jealousy, there is no famine, there is no illness. It's just gone. Or more to the point, it's been dealt with. There will still be fear and empathy and envy, but those are usable. Okay, but ultimately we are looking at a race that has the capacity of evolving way beyond the human norm. Okay, and what you see happening in the Marvel movies, in the DC movies, okay, is something that is potentially within the grasp of the human evolutionary race. It just depends a question of whether or not humans get out of their own way and start working towards peaceful evolution or annihilation. Your call. The sad part is so many people are looking at the world going, God's going to fix it. The aliens, they're really concerned about us. Why aren't they down here fixing it? Humans have to reach the point that humans made the mess. And they've made the disparity. Humans have to put it back together. When you do that, the outcome is phenomenal. There is literally, this can be a world in paradise. Absolutely, it can be. But the massive majority of people have to start working together, working towards it. Not this idea of let's see who can build the biggest guns the fastest. Ultimately, we're at a crossroads. And this is what has brought about so much in the way of the new run of alien interaction.
R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continuing right now. Keith, from Super Crazy, how do different ET species talk and understand each other? Do they all use telepathy?
Oh, heavens no. There's a language that is referred to as literally, I got it told to me as Pan-Galactan, meaning it covers an entire array of galaxies, but it's kind of a trade language, if you will, using bits and pieces of languages, sounds, gestures, some telepathic interaction, and there are certainly technologies that are used to link directly, especially for governmental interaction, because some of them just don't have the same vocal cords. Part of the language, by the way, is also translated through computer optics, utilized to deal with the smell, the appearance, and the sound of different colors. I mean, it's quite a complicated language. If you think any one of the ones on Earth are complicated, no, they're easy.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to Shiny. Keith, do any of the aliens that think that humans are just a bunch of wild monkeys with no knowledge or wisdom?
Absolutely. There's quite a number of them that look that way. They look at humans that way. But on the flip side of that, there's a number of them that see humans as being extremely curious, volatile, and creative, which makes them dangerous because they also see them as completely unruly, completely untrackable. But that's because they also look at them going, humans are an infantile race. They are not ready to deal with the mature races, which, by the way, are at war with each other half the time anyway. So it's not like the aliens are actually that much better. Not to say they don't think they are. But
All
there
right.
are definitely a number of races that do see them as unruly.
Keith, let's go over to Melvin. Will the Anunnaki come back to check up on us, and possibly when?
Oh, okay. The first part of the question is yes. When would be they're on their way in? Okay, they're already at the outskirts of our solar system, but they're taking their sweet and merry time. Now, the flip side of that question is: are they going to show up on Earth and go, "We're here"? Not a prayer. Okay, and the reason they won't do that is because it would disrupt the natural societal evolution of Earth. It would completely decimate it. Will they watch, or are they checking up on you now? The answer is yeah, they are. They just happen to be doing it from outside of Pluto.
Why outside of Pluto?
Well, because they haven't come any closer yet. Besides that, they've got to be careful coming in that the size of their ship doesn't disrupt the gravitational flow of our solar system. You take a ship that size, and it has to take its time. Unless you're planning on putting the planets out of orbit, which is inherently a bad idea.
Well, that works for me, my man. We got 2 minutes to go here. I think we got time for one more question, maybe two. Let's go to Super Crazy. Are there any ET species that we could successfully defend against if they attacked Earth?
Technically, yeah. Think about your best bet. Now, you got to understand, this would be assuming they don't have backup. Of course. The one race you might be able to deal with would be the Zotar. The problem is, Zotar won't attack, and no other race will attack Earth anyway. So you got to let go of this whole fear-mongering run that Earth is in danger of being attacked. First of all, the Zotar, we got to understand, they look like geckos. Okay, they are roughly 6 inches tall. So, yeah, you could probably defend against them. Problem is, any of the races, if they were to attack Earth, okay, let's just assume for a moment that they were permitted to. The war would be over before mankind even had a clue it started. It would just be that quick. You wouldn't even know they had started the war, and it'd be over. Okay, and yes, I did go through that some time back on how that would come about. But the fact of the matter is, they're not interested in war, and there's no race in the consortium that would even contemplate it because of the ramifications. You see, if any one of them were to attack Earth, the consortium itself would literally go to their homeworld and blow, the assailant's homeworld, and blow up the homeworld housing the primary, secondary, and tertiary governments, and then evict them from the consortium altogether. There's not a race out there that's willing to take that chance. At least not one that I've heard of. Even with the Zeron, okay, we're in the middle of educating them that their method of looking at things is backwards and going to cause themselves problems. But there isn't a race there that's going to attack.
On that note, Keith, we're going to let you hang on for hour 3 next on Spaced Out Radio. R Keith Andrews sticking around. My name is Dave Scott. We'll be right back right after this, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy. I'm just going to step out and go for a quick break. I'll be right back. All right, let's bring Keith back in. Hi, Keith. All right, I unmuted you.
Okay, we'll try that again. Hi, how you doing?
All right, we got about a minute to go here.
Okay. Now, I was looking at some of the questions that are in the comments in StreamYard here, and some are interesting. But am I even interested in answering any of them on my own without you prompting it? Not a prayer.
Well, we'll get to them.
Oh, yeah.
Hello there, Data. How are you? Michael Gutierrez. Nice to see you. Marie S. Holy cow, she has returned. We are still here and live, my dear. Good to see you, my dear. What have you been up to? All right, Paramarv. Thank you to Greg, Melvin, and Cat Chaser for our super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love, everybody. Here we go. All right, we're already into the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Can you believe it? Show is flying on by. Keith Andrews is our guest. We're talking all things extraterrestrial and supernatural. So make sure, if you haven't heard the entire show, make sure you go check out the free archives. Yeah, we're everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Hope you're enjoying your summer. My name is Dave Scott, and hello to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, and of course, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. Yeah, we got a plethora of features for you. We do. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the show. A Blutomania is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's talk to R Keith Andrews. The ET Connection continues here on the big show. And Keith, thank you so much for staying for hour number 3.
Not a problem, Dave. I mean, thanks for having me. I mean, I remember way back we used to run 3 or 4 hours.
Oh yeah, I remember those days. I remember those days of not being tired. Now that I've aged a few years, yep. Now that I've aged a few years, well, it just gets more and more difficult. More and more difficult. Shout out to longtime fan Marie, who hasn't been here in a while in our chat room. Yes, I am still a major fan of Taco Bell. Major fan of Taco Bell. Love me some Taco Bell. Could use some right now, to be honest. Really could. All right, Keith, let's continue with the audience questions here. Let's go to Stephanie to kick things off. Keith, what alien species do you fear the most? And if you had to marry one, which kind would you like?
Well, first and foremost, as far as which one do I fear the most, that's a bit of a toss-up. The one I've had the most complications with would be the Talon, which are an ant-like race. They stand about 5 feet tall. They do generate their own web. They and I have never had a real good relationship. I don't know if fear would be the right word for it, though. Definitely dislike. As far as if I had to marry an alien, number one, I've yet to find anybody that can make me do much of anything. Number two, I'm spoken for by a human. And therefore, the rest of them are off the market. No, I haven't quite asked her to marry me, but then she hasn't come across the border.
True. But she's a good one. She's a good one.
Yeah, we're keeping her.
Let's go to Blue Cruise. Will humanity eventually create a universal communications device for face-to-face verbal conversations with aliens, ETs, humanoids, inhumanoids, cryptids, etc.?
Technically, the answer would be, given the term eventually, technically the answer would be yes. But the reality is, long before they get to that point, they're likely to be involved in the consortium itself, and they've already got one. But let's face it, humans aren't known for settling for, oh, it's already built, let's not do it anymore. Humans are known for the capacity to modify things, alter them, usually for the better, although they have made some real screw-ups. Most notably is when humans start playing around with biotech. But technologically speaking, humans are known as being rather innovative and creative, to say the least.
All right, moving on to our next question. Let's go over to SG Nav Spotter. Why do these UFO ships keep coming back for my family above my house? What do they want from us?
Specifically, SG, I can't tell you for certain. But if it's your whole family, you're looking at generational studies. You're looking at whoever it is that's coming is literally keeping tabs on how your family, how the whole bloodline is evolving. Now, I will tell you, I don't feel there's any threat now that you got to worry about. I don't feel they're there to cause harm or to really create a problem. Although I would lay odds you're probably feeling like it's causing a problem. I just don't feel it's their intention.
All right. Let's go to Paramarv. Do you know which species of aliens built or helped build the pyramids of Egypt? Any ideas as to why they were built? What the purpose they serve is?
Well, that's the easy part. The Eniod had a hand in the direction of it. The purpose is planetary communication. And as a side effect, interplanetary communication. What people are not necessarily aware of is the hieroglyphs inside the pyramids are a circuit board. They are literally designed for relaying energy on a whole different level. And it's not just the pyramids they're linked with. Take many of the other sites, and there are similar configurations. Okay, but they are literally a communication line.
All right. Let's continue on. Let's go to Polly. The 20 and back. Do you think it's possible?
Somebody want to tell me what the 20 and back is?
20 and back is where super soldiers believe that they go away for 20 years, come back, they get, how do you put it? Rejuvenated in age, so they haven't aged. But they've served 20 years like on Mars or up in space or on the moon, and they don't know about it.
Okay. We're not talking time travel. We're talking extended service, as it were.
Yes.
Okay. We're talking extended service and rejuvenation. Absolutely possible. Okay. However, are they going and serving on Mars? I wouldn't hold my breath. Primarily, and that's simply because I know what's going on Mars. But is it possible, does the 20 and back work? Bearing in mind we are talking about space travel and rejuvenation. Absolutely, it's possible. What they'd be up to specifically, don't honestly know. What I do know is that the super soldier program is alive and well. Is it being used for interstellar conflict, if that's where we're going with this? No. Although they may be being used to bring back extra information. Although they won't be bringing back technology, just knowledge. But does the technology exist for it? Yeah, absolutely it does. What you've been taught in the health society from the health society is tiny compared to what they know. And most of what you've been taught has been misleading at best. So is the rejuvenation situation possible? Certainly, but it does not actually make them younger. Just makes them feel younger and puts their health back at that kind of a level. Okay, I mean the obvious issue, you can rejuvenate like a heart so that it is actually stronger, or more to the point, as strong as it was when somebody was in their early to mid 20s, before they did whatever they did to their body. So yeah, this technology is very real. Why governments are not releasing it? That's the easy part. Healthy people don't pay medical bills.
Right.
So why make them all healthy? Now, that's just my opinion. I've never looked into it. I've never bothered doing any research. And I will tell you, if you're dealing with a situation and you're already dealing with a doctor, stay dealing with them. Okay? Because you can still work on your body and correct it. But if you all of a sudden take whatever you're on and quit using it, your system may collapse. The Super Soldier program has proven this is a very real possibility. Because the Lord knows how many of them died trying to get the system working right.
All right, let's move on, Keith. Let us go next to, well, let's take a look here. Let's go to Joe. My dog barks and growls at the sky when I can't see anything there. Is she seeing aliens?
One of two probabilities. She may be seeing aliens. She may be seeing bats. What you're looking for, now you're looking to see if you can see them. Okay, look at the stars and watch the stars. If the stars are blinking out in sequence, in other words, you're looking at stars and it disappears, and then another one next in line disappears, and the first one reappears. What your dog may be doing is seeing this kind of maneuver. At which point you're watching something move across in front of the stars, which may be an alien, maybe just a bird, a bat or a bird or something maneuvering in the air at night. But your dog will see it easier than you will.
Interesting.
I can't exactly swear it'd be aliens you're looking at, because let's face it, we got nothing to work with.
Moving on to another question. Let's go to Super Crazy. Do ETs follow some sort of prime directive to not interfere with the natural development of other planets? Kind of like in Star Trek.
Yes, that's one of those things. Gene Roddenberry was a visionary. They do the consortium does have a set of rules, not the least of which is no alien is allowed to take on a position of power in government or in industry. You cannot bring combat technology to a developing race. Okay, now yes, there are people that break that protocol. The outcome is really bad. Okay, but they are forbidden to alter the path of a given species evolution. Okay, this is where the whole concept of xenosocioeconomic evolution comes in. They've got to leave the planet to evolve on its normal path before they approach it. And then the given planet has to attain a global government, a one world government, not a dictatorship. And rest assured, there is a massive difference between the two items. But yeah, they absolutely have what you would call a prime directive. Violation of said prime directive is a bit brutal, but it does work. I.e., if a given race were to come down and offer alien technology in the way of weaponry, then it will literally, and then we go back to that thing about take the planet's housing, primary, secondary, and tertiary governments, and just obliterate them. Okay. Now, they do have an interesting weapon that is designed to do literally that. Okay. Ironically, we got it from defectors from a race that wants to wipe everybody out.
All right, let's move on to another question. Let's go to Melvin here. Melvin is asking, will the Anunnaki... Oh, I believe we asked that one. I apologize, Keith. That's my fault. Let's go to Paul. Are women going through IVF, in vitro fertilization procedures? Pardon me. Are women who are going through IVF procedures more targeted for alien abduction?
If they're going through IVF, are they being more targeted? No, they're usually left alone. Okay, if they've already been targeted for IVF, they will be left alone until the fetus gets to a certain point, gets to enough of an evolution as to be taken. Now, I wouldn't call that more targeted so much as specifically targeted for a particular issue.
Let's go to Vanessa. Do you think J.R.R. Tolkien was maybe tuned into some earthen knowledge?
In my opinion, absolutely. You take a look at the ants. Okay. If you catch the videos on YouTube, you can see these guys literally I caught a video on YouTube, and I know there's this thing about, it could be mock-up, it could be, photoshopped. Okay, it could be. I'm no video analyst. I do know that there are trees that are still known in Borneo and places like that literally will walk. There was one shown that I stumbled across, because I do watch YouTube, but I watch it for music. But I saw one that showed a whole copse of trees. I kid you not, they had to be traveling at close to 20 miles an hour. Okay, so yeah, Tolkien absolutely was connected. What everybody calls elves, I talk about the elfin race. The elfin race got here before mankind did. Okay, so Tolkien knew a lot of what was going on. Probably one of the reasons why The Hobbit was the first book that I found I didn't desire to put down.
All right, let's continue on, Keith. Let's go to AAO. Keith, I was taken by aliens aboard their ship after my boyfriend or my Bigfoot encounter, maybe boyfriend encounter, I'm not sure, with an injured baby. I was put in a womb room with my memories being downloaded. They were mainly interested in their injured baby. Why?
Well, if it was an injured baby, you can pretty much bet it was likely a hybrid, meaning part of the hybridization program, which is how they grow cultural interpreters. And that's going to play far more interest to them than anything else. Now, of course, the biggest catch is I don't know specifically which race you were taken by. Okay, and that's where it becomes a question as to just exactly what the motivation would be. Of course, we can go the humanitarian side and go, well, the baby was the next generation, so take care of it. If the adults die, you still got the kids. The number of possibilities are extreme. But this is why when people come up with something like this, if you drop me a line with a little more information, I'll be more than happy to look at it.
All right, let's continue on. We got about 4 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection continues. Let's go over to Simon. R Keith, can anyone learn to manifest riches and earthly vice?
The answer to that is yes. This is one of the things that the off-worlders and the ancient races are concerned about. Humans have the capacity to do it, but you got to have two things going for you. One, you got to believe it's possible, and I mean believe in your heart, not just in your head. And two, you got to make sure that your reasoning behind it is right, because if you're of the mindset, and do not take this as a slight if you can, if you can avoid it. You've got to be of the mindset that the riches are there, but that does not make you better than anybody. Okay, it's one of those real annoying karmic law backlashes. But anybody can learn. Oh, you do have to have that issue of going, I really desire to have it. Which I probably should develop some sort of drive to it. But is it possible to learn? Absolutely. One of the key factors, though, is take the word want or the word need and throw them out of your vocabulary. Exchange them literally for either choose or desire, depending on which one fits in the context you're speaking. But you don't even utter those words in context to what you desire to attain, because it will create a barrier for you.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to Super Crazy again. We got 2 minutes, Keith. How far do you think humans have gotten in their efforts to successfully reverse engineer alien technology?
I would be inclined to say they've got some of the concepts down. They've certainly got Terran-based mock-ups. Okay, they have reverse engineered, as in looking at the aerodynamic side of it. They've done very well. As far as understanding the technological side, power sources, that sort of thing, they're still so far behind the eight ball, it's insane. Because humans are still looking at the basics in physics in an ineffective fashion. Okay, and yes, I do mean the people that are working on these great big science projects, working for, places like NASA or any of the other big wigs. They're still looking at physics with a limited understanding. And until they accept that part, until they get that through their heads, they're going to have trouble with alien technology. See, the reality is the OTE drive, the ossification of the tri-transspatial equipolarity, is a viable engine. But you got to understand physics on a different level than what Terran scientists understand, as well as understanding how gravity actually is working. There's a lot of things are missing where it comes to power sources specifically.
Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Man, it's been good. Been a long time since we had you back on for the full show. Absolutely love the fact that you are here and that you're joining us right till the top of the hour. So, checking on out next half hour, R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All All right, Keith, we are clear.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at some of what I can see here. Lovely Love is going, younglings? Yeah, I said that some time ago. Yeah. But what do we got here? Oh, we covered that question a long time ago, so I'm probably way up the line. Yeah, it's got to be over a couple of years since we pulled this kind of a run.
Right? It's fun, though.
It is.
We're fun people.
Well, this is why I still tell people if they actually, and the funny part is we've told a lot of people, if you want me on your show, ask. Thus far, not.
Right.
That's just the way that goes. Why do people keep asking me questions like that?
Hold on. Military hunting Bigfoot. Is that the one?
And the one I was referring to a while ago? No, they were talking about the biggest aerial battle ever developed. It's supposed to start at this point. It should be underway.
Dry Toast, best name on YouTube. How you doing, buddy? Any other questions here that I'm missing? We're about halfway through, Keith.
Yeah. Yeah, not a problem. I got a kick out of that one, what was it? The super chat you got. If I read that right, that's incredible. I forget who it was from, but you seem to have gotten one that was $1,000 super chat.
No, it's 1,000 baht from Thailand.
Oh,
so about $37 Canadian.
Oh, okay. That's still decent.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Greg, for that. All right, we got about 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right. 30 seconds. Thank you to Greg, M. Lovett, Jenny. Good to have you back, Jenny. Melvin, and the awesome Cat Chaser for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love. Very much appreciate the love. And don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Seven seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. What's happening? My name is Dave Scott. I'm the guy who loves talking about these great subjects around here. The woo, we call it. The woo of our world. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continuing. We're going the distance with Keith tonight. Reminder before we bring Keith back on that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives. We're on every major podcast network as well as YouTube. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. R Keith Andrews, ET Connection, final half hour. Keith, thank you for going the distance with us tonight, my man.
Not a problem. You know, it's been really enjoyable. It's been a long time since we've done this.
I agree. I agree. Where can people find you, Keith?
That's the easy part. If you look on YouTube, R Keith Andrews, you'll find I've got a almost a daily podcast. It actually runs from Friday to Tuesday, from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Under there's a whole pile of ways to find and hold of me, like underneath in the description. Easiest one would be either right through here. I'm sure Dave will put you in touch, or at Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca. Those are the easiest ways to find me.
All right, buddy. Appreciate that. Let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with Blue Cruise. Any thoughts, ideas, or theories on the origin of the pale night crawlers?
I'm not sure what the pale night crawlers are. That would make it no.
Okay, they were first seen in Fresno, California a number of years back. And it looks like literally a pair of MC Hammer pants walking on, like, covering up stilts. They've been seen a number of times. They're very weird looking. They have no upper torso, really. It's the strangest thing, Keith. Strangest thing. See if I can find him here for you.
That'd be convenient. Yeah.
So just it's one of these things where nobody really knows what they are.
Right. Yeah, I've dealt with a number of things that fell into that category. I end up with that with technology. People send me pictures. I was like, oh, this is what it does. Check for this. And I'll go, why would I check for that? Well, because that's what it works on. But of course, because I don't track anything, the pale crawlers I've never even heard of.
Right. Well, our radio audience won't be able to hear this, but I'm going to play a YouTube video for you. And this was taken in Fresno, California, in a park. See, It's just like it looks like just a pair of pants.
I see that.
Yeah, that's why I call them like MC Hammer pants. You know what I'm saying?
I wish they had a way of showing what they're close to and what their size is. Wonder if I've got it. Love questions like this, but that might be it. Scroll down, see if I can spot which one. See, I've got a race that I'm pretty certain what we're looking at. And there we hear. That's what I was looking for. I was wondering who that race was. I told you I'd find the race of the actual race, what they are actually called, what we call Bigfoot Sasquatch. That's your Reclonicon. But I am looking for, and I'm not looking at the full book, which is where the problem is. But there is a race that does remind me of. I just forget off the top of my head what the name of it was. Wonder if, do I have book 2 open? Volume 2. That might help. No, that's fair enough. Damn. I think I know what we're looking for. I'm just trying to track it down in a hurry. Relic. No. It's just literally I'm trying to find a race that I know I've got. They ultimately look like a green onion, just a lot larger. An inverted one, mind you. But that's the first thing that comes to mind. I just don't remember off the top of my head what the name was.
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't confuse me. I know what I'm looking for. Let's scroll that. Then let's scroll that.
Well, let's continue on with the radio show because we can't have dead air here. But all right, let's move on to let's say Juan here. Keith, do you know about the military hunting Bigfoot and trying to deplete their population? This is one of the stories I that we talked about earlier, Keith, or I said I didn't personally believe it was happening.
I wouldn't buy it. Not at all. I don't know anything about them actually doing it, but it does stand up from my end.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. And it's, this is where I think this is one of the stories where we get a little bit, how can I put it? A little bit too involved in conspiracy theory. Like it's one thing to talk about aliens and everything, but not everything is a conspiracy. Not everything kind of goes.
I mean, a lot of the conspiracy comes because of the fact that they're fear-based to start with. But no, it does not add up from my end. If they were actually trying to do that, the facts just don't. The facts and the available information just don't add up.
Right. All right, let's go over to Polly.
Absolutely.
What is it that we are not understanding about crop circles?
They are the short answer is a lot of them are literally interground. They're literally designed for off-worlders to get directions. They're kind of, in a lot of ways, the road signs. But they are road signs that when humans figure them out, will actually give a bit of a key to the whole concept of the whole alien race communication thing. Okay, as far as the languages go. That ultimately is what you're looking at there. But you got to remember, crop circles are not designed to be seen from Earth. And that's the first thing you got to look at. Is that's not what they're designed for. They're designed for for communication, or if you will, directions. Sometimes it's literally in transferring information, kind of like, if you will, one massive billboard. But it's not like you're looking at personal letters. Ow. Hate that. But no, crop circles are literally designed for communication lines.
All right, Keith, you can stop scrolling on your mouse there.
Oh. Okay.
We're hearing it all, my man. We're hearing it all. All right, let's continue on here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's go to another question. This got a couple from Simon here. First one is the soul recycler on the moon real? I've never heard of this before.
Well, I've heard of it before, but the answer would be no. The soul doesn't recycle by anybody's technological ability. Souls do exist in everything, absolutely. But when they die, that's a whole long topic. But no, it is not done on the moon. Is the easiest way to put it. First of all, souls don't get recycled. That's literally the short answer. But it's a whole lot more complicated than that. But ultimately, like I said, no, I don't know where they came up with that concept, but it's cute. And from a science fiction standpoint, it makes for a great story. Problem is, in a real life situation, we'll have to take that term a little loosely. Souls don't recycle. Souls change vehicles. In other words, this lifetime you may be human. Next lifetime you may be a tree. An arborean. Maybe you decide to become a Caboran. Okay. But the soul itself is one thing. Okay, it's the soul that is the vehicular driver of all of your lives. That's why past lives are still functional. And as I discovered the other day, if you're looking at the Akashic records, now you go talk to the Zertics. They're the ones that run them. But no, when you're looking at a technology-based item, that one, Simon, I don't know who came up with the concept of it, but it's certainly not something on the moon. The moon basically is a way station, not a science setup. So hopefully that makes sense.
All right, let's move on here. Let's get to Simon's other question. With all due respect, Keith, how sure are you that all your experiences actually happened?
Oh, I don't mind that question at all there, Simon. With all due respect, I question my sanity constantly. But am I certain they all happened? Yeah. Because of the amount of corroboration that I've had from various people, strangers and people I know alike, as well as my father's absolute statement on his deathbed that everything I'd been through was real. Past life, alien interactions, metaphysical interactions, the whole 9 yards with my I won't call them near death. I just completely died multiple times. But I've had so many corroborations over the years of all of it that I just look at it going, I will keep looking for that piece that derails it and says, it's not real. Okay. And I leave it for other people for the moment to go, it's your imagination. If that's the case, what I've done is taken all that information, I'm turning it into one heck of a story series, of a novel series, but I always question it. But at this point, everything points to saying it's absolutely real. Okay. I know it sounds like science fiction. Absolutely, I do. So, do I take offense when people ask? Not at all.
Great answer, Keith. Great answer. And let's go to Willard here. Keith, why God and Odin and Satan and Zeus and Hades keep calling my past life self in astral projection and remote viewing and telepathically me Hell's Angel or Hell's General, even though I am Willard?
Well, just going with a blanket, it's real type thing. They'll be calling you by a different lifetime, not by your current one. That's where you start with. Okay. And again, I will caution you on the same thing I caution myself. Treat it as though it's real, but keep an eye open for that one piece of information that derails the whole 9 yards. Because I will tell you, there is only one person, one incarnation, okay, that fits any corporeal. Okay, and that's like I said, they'll be calling you by a past incarnation, not this body. Okay, ultimately it would boil down to this: if you're driving, and I'm just going to say you personally are driving a Ford, you call yourself a Ford. They're calling you Willard. Is ultimately what it boils down to. They're talking about the person that you used to be, not the one you are. Hopefully that answers the question.
Well, I hope so too. All right. Let's continue on. We got one more here, Keith. This one from Shiny. Have you ever gotten into a fist fight with an alien and beat one up?
Well, the short answer is yes, and we're not going to go very far down that end. Understand, on this planet, I am very much a pacifist. I've never in my life been in a fight. Off-world, we have a different ballgame. But am I going to go into it and paint myself out to be something phenomenal? No. I'm 100% against conflict. There are times in other races where it's kind of a necessity. The furthest I'll go into it is I end up hitting one. He asked me literally why he should pay attention to a simple Solarian in matters of war. Split second later, two of his buddies looked at me and go, "Don't worry about it. We'll tell him when he wakes up in the infirmary." It's just a matter of knowing what you're doing. On Earth, I don't fight. Elsewhere, if I have to, is another issue. But no, I am not somebody that, some people go, "Oh, you don't want to make me mad. You don't want to fight with me." I don't want to fight with anybody.
I remember one of my experiences, and I only got like a 5-second blip of it, Keith.
Yeah.
And that was actually hitting an alien gray, about a 5-6 foot alien gray. They were very rubbery.
Yeah,
he went flying back.
Well, they're not exactly resilient. They
No.
heal quick enough, but it's kind of like hitting a Gumby.
Yes, and then all of a sudden, the one on my right side touched my shoulder or my neck or something, and I was out again.
Oh yeah, that's simple reflexology.
2 minutes ago, let's go to Paramarv. Speaking of power sources, is there a point where we move beyond petroleum and start to using hydrogen or something else?
Oh, very definitely. The fact of the matter is we had to get to nuclear so we could get to fusion later. Eventually, we will get to the point where they actually work with real energy instead of these limited resources. But that's going to take a little bit of work.
Toyota is currently working on that. And they are working on a hydrogen combustion engine because they are learning very quickly that EVs, electric vehicles, are going to be a concern moving into the future because of lithium and other deposits that are needed in order to create the vehicles, especially the vehicle batteries, and that they want to make it cheaper because insurance companies over time are not going to be able to afford to replace all the cars when batteries die or catch on fire. It's a big bill coming. Very big bill.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. There was one person in Vancouver who went over a pothole. True story. You can look it up. Went over a pothole in their 3-month-old or 4-month-old electric vehicle import. They dented the battery. The insurance company wrote off the vehicle that's 3 months old because the battery was more than the vehicle was worth.
Yeah.
And it was a perfectly good car. Just a little ding, like if you were to take a shopping cart and push it into the door of your vehicle. No damage. Car was written off for $60-some thousand.
Well,
R Keith Andrews, it's that time of the night.
Oh, okay.
Say good night to you. Very much appreciate you, my man. Tell everybody in 20 seconds or less where they can find you.
Track me down at R Keith Andrews on YouTube, and you can find me easily there. How's that?
And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Keith deserves it. He's a good man. Very good man. R Keith, thank you for coming on the ET Connection. Once again, we'll talk to you next month. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X and hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right, Keith, we're clear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Dave.
No problem. That was a lot of fun, brother.
It was.
And
now I do believe it's time to go and crawl into bed.
Well, you can go do that.
You got a little while to go.
I got a little while to go. Like 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Yeah. You did well. You kind of kicked ass tonight, brother.
I appreciate that. It's a good thing you didn't ask me to do that last week. Of course, we weren't at this point last week.
No. Well, I have a new UFO report person coming in starting Monday. Yeah, a good friend of mine up here, Tim. He's in our chat room as Tim in the Backwoods. He's going to be taking over the UFO report. So, yeah, and so he lives nice and close to me.
Well, that's convenient. Or
Yeah,
can be, anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to test him out, see how he does. I'll throw him right to the fire right off the bat. So, okay, what the hell is this?
No, that was definitely a lot of fun.
Good questions tonight. They were kind of all over the board. And we didn't get any dumb questions tonight, I can tell you that. That's what I really
No, nothing serious.
Yeah.
So. I actually, in my stream, I actually had to put a new little warning out and let people know. You guys want to keep asking stupid questions? I will more than readily have you removed.
Yeah. I hear you there, buddy.
Yeah.
I hear you there. For the most part, the people are pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yep. I can understand that.
All right, buddy. We'll let you go, okay?
Okie doke. You have a good night.
You too.
You take care, Dave.
Bye-bye. R Keith Andrews, everybody. I want to say a big thank you tonight to Greg, M. Lovett, Jenny, Melvin, Cat Chaser. Don't forget this weekend, Sweet Robbie G, Saturday and Sunday night. And right before Rob on Sunday, Jessica Jones. I'm going to go get some rest, everybody. Cut this audio up on the weekend because I'm pretty tired. But we'll talk to you next week on Monday, where my guest will be Nancy Thames, ET Experience and Encounters coming on up. See you on Monday, everyone.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.